Well, good afternoon. Happy Friday, July 10th. Let's get right to it. Not the greatest week in the world of mortgage rates, and this is really around the conflict in Iran, tensions re-escalating, the ceasefire over, declared President Trump, although apparently there's still negotiations going on between the White House and the Iranian leadership. I'll take you right to it. These are mortgage-backed securities. You can see over the past 5 business days, they've sold off a bit, causing interest rates to rise as mortgage-backed securities decline, interest rates rise. Now, what does this really represent? I would say somewhere to the tune of an eighth to a quarter of a point in rate. It's not a lot, but it is certainly unwelcome. We need rates to be going the other way. And unfortunately, we're finding ourselves in a position now where rates are a little bit worse this week as we close out the week than they were last week. Going to be an interesting evening as we get to 11:59 p.m. President Trump has not signed the ROAD to Housing Act, which is the bipartisan housing bill passed widely in the House and the Senate by a wide majority. He says he will not sign it, but he will not, apparently has not vetoed it. So the president hasn't vetoed the bill, but he hasn't signed it either. And according to the Constitution, that actually becomes law after 10 days. So today is the 10th day. The president has till 11:59 p.m. to veto the bill. Otherwise, it will become law as of tomorrow. The president has withheld his signature in protest of the Republicans' failure to pass a controversial election measure called the Save America Act. So this is going to be interesting. And really, the Democrats and the Republicans have touted this bill as a solution, or at least a step to the solution to the housing affordability problem, but it's largely a supply side solution, providing some protections for how much investment properties institutions can collect, can buy. Also, some paving the way for reduced regulation around home construction is in there. There's several items in there, but they all are focused on the supply side of housing in order to improve affordability, which sort of begs the question, does more supply really improve affordability? And that's where the data gets really interesting. And I'll close out with this and show you a couple of interesting graphs. So first of all, this is months of supply of the United States housing market, and this dates from 2018 all the way to 2026. This blue line up here is new construction, and you can see that builders are now sitting on 10.3 months worth of new construction inventory. For context, a balanced market is 6 months. That means builders are sitting on more inventory than they would like. And ultimately, you're going to find it builders hard pressed to start building more and more and more because they don't want to see this number continue to go up in the absence of demand. Existing home inventory, and listen, existing home sales are really about 88 to 90% of the market. New home sales are only about 10 to 12% of the market. Existing home inventory climbing now to 4.6 months as of the most recent NAR data that came out this week, 4.6 months. That means total housing inventory, the average of these two, is right around 5.3 months. We're only about 0.7, 0.8 months shy of a completely balanced market when you start talking about months of supply. Now, certainly there are going to be pockets, areas around the United States that are going to be more stressed for supply, but this kind of calls into question the strategy, or at least the celebration on the part of Democrats and Republicans, that this legislation, the ROAD to Housing Act, is going to solve homeownership affordability by supply side economics. Their version of solving affordability by boosting supply. Has that really worked? Have we seen homes become more affordable because supply goes up? This is really interesting. So we're going to go back here and we're going to look at total housing inventory dating back to January of 2022, and we see it rise by 81%. Inventory has risen by 81% from January of 2022 to June of 2026. At the same time, home prices have risen by about 20% over the same period. That calls into question, will home prices really correct and not continue their rapid pace of appreciation just because we have a little bit more supply? I would call into question here whether supply is really the way to solve home ownership affordability, or could there be other machinery, other levers we can pull inside housing finance to solve the problem? I think there are. That's an argument for another day. But until now, we'll keep our eyes on 11:59 p.m. today, and we'll see what happens with the president and the ROAD to Housing Act. If I can be of any service to you over the weekend, don't hesitate to reach out, mark.milam@highlandmtg.com.